odds over President Trump. CNN's Jason Carroll has that story for us.
The president's controversial first few weeks in office has inspired a new wave of athlete activism. NBA player LeBron James, prima ballerina Misty Copeland, Olympic medal-winning fencer Ibtihaj Muhammad, all speaking out against President Trump's policies. Super Bowl champs Chris Long and LeGarrette Blount now joining at least 4 other New England Patriot players, passing on a White House meeting with the president and their team later this year.
I won't be going to the White House.
Is that a will not? No?
I will not.
Do you want to expound on that at all, or?
It's just some of the things that I just don't feel welcome into that house. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Patriots player Martellus Bennett will also be a no-show. Shortly after the Patriots' victory over the Falcons, Martellus said he won't attend because the president has what he called too many prejudices.
I'm not gonna go. It is what it is. People know how I feel about it. Just follow me on Twitter.
Bennett supported Hillary Clinton on social media during the election and criticized Trump's travel ban days after the order was signed, tweeting, "America was built on inclusiveness, not exclusiveness." Patriots leadership firmly on Team Trump. Owner Robert Kraft, head coach Bill Belichick, and quarterback Tom Brady all say they're friends with Trump. Trump's Make America Great Again cap displayed in Brady's locker. And while Brady visited the White House with his team all 3 times during the Bush years, he skipped it during Obama's term, citing family commitments. That day, Brady spotted shopping at an Apple store in New York City. CNN has reached out to the Patriots and the White House for comment and has yet to receive a response. Sports analyst Christine Brennan says her sense is that more athletes will come forward to express their political opinions.
My sense is we're going to see more and more athletes speaking out and their fans actually supporting it and thanking them for it.
Already on the record, a number of former and current NBA players criticizing Trump's immigration restrictions.
I think it's bull. I think it's absolute. I mean, our country is the country of the homeland, home of the free, and for that to happen, I think it's bull.
And when Under Armour CEO Kevin Plank praised Trump's pro-business approach, calling him an asset to the country, Golden State Warriors guard Stephen Curry said, "I agree with that description if you remove the ET from asset." Certainly not the first time players have taken a political stance. This iconic image from the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City, Tommy Smith and John Carlos raising their fists to support civil rights. And just last season, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick refusing to stand during the national anthem in the name of racial injustice. Now other athletes standing up to challenge the White House. Jason Carroll, CNN, New York.
Great report, Jason. Thank you so much. Let's discuss now. Rachel Nichols is here, the host of The Jump on ESPN. So good to see you again, Rachel. And former NFL receiver Dante Stallworth is here. Good to see you as well, sir. Thank you both for joining us. This story is fascinating to me. I've been wanting to talk to you guys about it. Dante, I want to start with you. As a former Patriot yourself, what do you think of these Patriots players saying that they won't go to the White House?
I've always been an advocate for players to speak out on social and political issues. You know, the funny thing to me is that people always say that athletes and actors should not engage in politics. I mean, Donald Trump was a reality TV star. Ronald Reagan was he was an actor. Al Franken, he was on SNL. I think these are precisely the people that should be leading the political example. These guys, these people are people that are role models. And if you look at it, a lot of these athletes have grown up in these types of neighborhoods where they've come from the bottom, and so they relate more to the average person than some of these politicians who are sponsored by a lot of these corporations and have a lot of money. But I think at the end of the day, when you look at it, Martellus Bennett is writing a book on a children's book on how to be, a good child. And then you look at what Donald Trump has done in his books. And so to me, there's no comparison. You can't say that athletes should not engage in politics.
And And also, Dante, I mean, listen, they're putting their endorsements on the line, which, will carry them on to retirement long after whatever sport that money is gone. And so this is very important to them. I want to play this for you because the president is fond of name dropping his support from the Patriots top brass. Let's listen to this.
Tom Brady, great guy, great guy. Great guy, great friend of mine, great champion, unbelievable winner. He called today and he said, Donald, I support you, you're my friend, and I voted for you. This guy is a true champ. So he writes, Coach Belichick, congratulations on a tremendous campaign. You have dealt with an unbelievable slanted and negative media and have come out beautifully. Beautifully. You've proved to be the ultimate competitor and fighter. Your leadership is amazing. Bob Kraft. So good luck, Bob. Your friend Tom just called. He feels good. He called to congratulate us. He feels good. Good luck. You're going to do great. Thanks.
Okay, so Dante, listen, do you think that puts these other players in a tough position with their team being so closely associated with the president, even having dinner at Mar-a-Lago as Bob Kraft, the owner?
No, I don't think so. I think Mr. Kraft respects his players and respects them on an individual level. I have a pretty good relationship with Mr. Kraft to this day, even though I haven't played for the Patriots since 2012. But if you look at it, I think the players are going to do their own thing anyway, and especially with what the Trump administration has done since their first 3 weeks in office, players will double down if Mr. Kraft tries to do that. But I don't think he would. But at the end, why would the players leave their conscience at the edge of the stadium?
Yeah, interesting. Rachel, let's bring you in now. And I want to talk to you. You can weigh in on the whole thing. But let's talk about the NBA, shall we? Because we have Steph Curry, we've got LeBron James, among others, making it clear in no uncertain terms they do not support this president's policies. Why is this travel ban such a big issue for the NBA players?
I think the travel ban really struck a nerve with a lot of these guys because the NBA is an international league. You have players from more than 200 countries playing in the NBA. About 30% of the league is from countries born outside the U.S. And one of the teams, the Toronto Raptors, you have to cross the border back and forth to get there. Two prominent NBA players have Sudanese passports, so it was a big question. Could they go play in Toronto when they had an away game? Could they come back? This was really affecting the people that you saw on the court on a day-to-day basis. And it also has to do with the freedom that these NBA players have now, too. You mentioned, Don, earlier the endorsements, right? Michael Jordan was sort of reported to famously have said, hey, Republicans buy sneakers too, and that's why he was never that politically active. Michael Jordan at that point was an employee of Nike. Steph Curry, when he's criticizing Under Armour, he's an investor in Under Armour. That is a different kind of power. And he not only had that very sort of cute, quippy quote, he also called the company the next day and spent apparently hours on the phone with them, making sure that the company's values align enough with his that he could stay on as a brand endorser and ambassador. So they are taking more of a leadership role. Steph Curry is playing on a $44 million contract. He's about to sign a $200 million plus contract. That buys you a lot of freedom to speak your mind. You don't have to really worry about where the next dollar is coming from.
And what's interesting is that people, I think what people are getting wrong is that many people, they're looking at this as a sort of Republican versus Democrat thing or liberal versus conservative thing. And for athletes, it's not about that. I mean, we've had conservative presidents with athletes in the White House before. This is about values and about some of the rhetoric, a lot of the rhetoric that Donald Trump displayed on the campaign trail and now with this travel ban. And with that said, let me say this. Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban has made a number of public comments, most recently that he doesn't think Trump will last 4 years in office. And then there's Coach Greg Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs, and he said this. He said it's hard to be respectful of someone when we all have kids and we're watching him be misogynistic and xenophobic and racist and make fun of handicapped people. If our children would have said it, we'd have grounded them for 6 months, without a doubt. But we ignore all that because why? That says something about all of us, and that's what's dangerous. And by the way, both of these teams, to my point about this not being about liberal versus conservative or Democrat versus Republican, both of these teams are in red state Texas. So I'm wondering, is it somewhat surprising to hear such forceful comments coming from the sports world, Rachel?
No, I mean, it really is interesting. Greg Popovich specifically has been so outspoken. That quote you just read was remarkable. And he does operate in a red state world. He has joked that I get looks in the grocery store now. He said there are people who definitely don't approve of what I am saying. But this is a guy who went to the Air Force Academy, served in the U.S. Air Force, and is currently the head coach of the men's basketball team for the U.S. Olympic team. His bona fides are real. He is somebody who has a legit place to comment on what's going on in our society. And I think it is important in places like red state Texas that there are different voices. And to what Dante was saying about athletes having a role in this, look, whether we like it or not, sports, athletics, these guys, this is the place where Republicans and Democrats do come together. They sit together in the same arenas. We're not reading the same newspapers anymore. We're not watching the same TV anymore. We're not going to the same movies. We've seen a bunch of articles on that. We are still all watching the same sports. So when these discussions happen in the sports arena, it is so important because it's one of the only places we're all still talking to each other.
I completely agree with that. Dante, you saw in the piece earlier Tommy Smith and John Carlos raising their fists in Mexico City. We remember the late, great Muhammad Ali when he refused to go to Vietnam, pulling no punches. Watch this.
My conscience won't let me go shoot my brother or some darker people or some poor, hungry people in the mud for big, powerful America and shoot them for what? They never called me nigger. They never lynched me. They never put no dogs on me. They never robbed me of my nationality, raped and killed my mother and father. What, I'm going to shoot them for what?
You my opposer when I want freedom. You my opposer when I want justice. You my opposer when I want equality. You won't even stand up for me in America for my religious beliefs, and you want me to go somewhere and fight, but you won't even stand up for me here at home.
Huh. Those athletes experienced serious backlash, but they were redeemed by history. I mean, Muhammad Ali is revered, right? Do you expect to see any backlash against these players for speaking their minds? Go ahead, Dante.
No, I mean, Muhammad Ali was a great example. You look at what Muhammad Ali did. Muhammad Ali resisted the war in Vietnam. He resisted going into the draft, while a lot of these senators paid for and funded the war. And Muhammad Ali now, as you said, is looked upon in history as, you know, someone who made the right decision. And a useless war where, you know, over 1 million Vietnamese people were killed, over 50,000 Americans were killed. This was a useless war that did nothing. And Muhammad Ali, in the end, as history tells it and shows us today, he was the right one, not these politicians. So stop saying that players and athletes and actors shouldn't engage in politics, because that is a perfect example of what you just showed right there.
And Rachel, I think you said something I thought was brilliant. You said we're not all reading the same newspapers or even watching the same news programs. But if you remember, Rachel, when Jon Stewart was on The Daily Show, there were a lot of people, especially young people, who said that they got that some of these people, especially young people, they aren't big news consumers, but they're getting views of this administration through their sports heroes.
Absolutely, and I talk to these athletes about this all the time. I mean, Charles Barkley famously said a couple decades ago, "I am not a role model," and that idea has really passed everyone by. There is no question that these guys are role models, and they are embracing their responsibility to present themselves, to present ideas in a more serious manner, in a way that influences the young people who follow them, because they understand the responsibility they have and the voice that they have. When we were talking all this summer about police violence and sort of the killings that were going on among young African-American men, guess what? Guess who are the most visible young African-American men in our society? Basketball and football players. They are the ones who had the most platform to come out and say, hey, this is going on and this is important and worth paying attention to. And they use their voices for that, and I think they're going to continue to.
Yeah, and before those of you watching, before you criticize, there were people who didn't want to go to see Barack Obama as president in the White House, athletes as well. So
Jason mentioned in his piece that Tom Brady, Dante's teammate, declined to go, and sort of
Tom Brady and Matt Burke. And Matt Burke explicitly cited political reasons for not going. That's fine. Let him do that. It is within his rights. That's what makes us stronger. This is a free society. That's free speech. That makes us stronger. We need that.
Yeah. I love this conversation. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. I appreciate you coming on. Rachel, come back.
Rachel.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Miss you guys.